Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open. My dear listener, I have such a potent and sacred and magical session and interview here with us on the Emily the Mystic Show podcast today with my dear friend and past client, Carla Maldonado, who is such a mystical human being. I can't even put words to it, but I can't wait for you to get to know her today. She is a fertility doula and spirit baby channel who bridges the gap between Western medicine and the spiritual side of conception. She helps women connect with their spirit babies, release energetic and mindset blocks, and unlock their unique fertility codes. Through her own transformation, Carla now guides others to stop the endless trying to conceive cycle and instead embrace conception as a sacred co-creative journey. Her work is about more than getting pregnant. It's about reclaiming fertility as a spiritual initiation. Wowza.
That's right.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Emily. I'm so excited to be here.
Amazing. And where are you located?
I'm located in the San Francisco Bay Area, in Marin, right on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Fantastic. And Carla and I bonded over that because my parents lived in the area for many years before I was born. So even though I have never been there and I wasn't born there, I still feel a weird ancestral tie to the land there. So I just love that so much. And for us to get to know you better, Carla, can you share with us your astrology, sun, moon, and rising?
Yes, I wrote it down. Cancer sun, Aquarius moon, and Libra rising.
Well, I mean, the spirit baby work with the Cancer and the Libra placements, I feel like is just so spot on because you have just this beautiful nurturing energy and you're also a mom yourself. So I can't wait to hear more about how that journey's unfolded for you today. And also, what's your human design type?
I'm a 2-5 projector.
Love that. Love that. Love that. So what does being a spiritual business owner mean to you? And what does this mystical work mean to you?
That's a big question, Emily.
I know.
But let me unpack it. So I feel like ever since I've been on this journey of like finding myself, and I feel like when I was working in corporate, I always knew so deep in my heart, like it's hard to explain, but I had this knowing of I want to have my own business and I have no idea what it looks like. I feel like when I was in college, it was like, I want to have a coffee shop, like very random ideas. But I just knew that I wanted to have my own business. And as I was working in KPMG in public accounting, and I was working like 60, 70-hour weeks, there was just something in me that was like, no, there's more to life than just working so hard and looking forward to your vacation, to your PTO. And I was like, wait, how do I go about that? And I feel like I started exploring and just listening to podcasts. At that time, my husband was going through some major health struggles. So I was listening to all of the podcasts about naturopath, about naturopath doctor, about just other ways of taking care of yourself that isn't necessarily Western medicine, because my husband, he had all the Western medicine support, but yet it wasn't getting him the results. And so I was like, I have to investigate myself and see what really helps him, right? Like we did the whole celery juicing, medical medium stuff. Like we did so much alternative stuff. Like so many hours were spent on research and putting it into action. And in that process, I was like, wait, I want to be a health coach. And so I actually signed up for a integrative health practitioner certification. And I feel like that was like the second kind of like certification or program that I bought, which just led me on this journey of like, who am I? And like, what am I meant to share with the world? And I feel like there was ups and downs in my journey because the time frame I'm talking about is probably like 2016-ish. And spoiler alert, I never finished that certification because I realized that there was a lot of biology in there, and that's just not it's just not what I meant to be like bringing to this world. You know, like my brain, it just doesn't work like that. Doesn't. And that's okay. And then I just was kind of like in and out of like the self-development and like listening to podcasts. First spiritual or like different modality I kind of dove into was a human design, actually. Jenna Zoe, like back in the day, I feel like it was so brand new. I think that must have been like 2017 probably when I discovered that. And I just fell so in love with it because as a projector, it's just, you know, the 9-to-5 world is just very different than a projector is meant to be living. I feel like, at least that's my personal opinion. Like I just related so much with I'm down to get my stuff done. You know what I mean? Like I'm fully down with that. And also then I need my breaks and I just want to kind of like be and like do my own thing. And two, at that point, I was always tired, which I feel like that's kind of like the stereotype that you almost think of a projector as, you know, like somebody that needs so much rest and somebody that's so tired. But what I've realized in this journey that I've been on now is that no, like you actually don't have to be this tired. You know, when you're doing something that lights you up, and I feel like with becoming a mom, I was awakened again into like, wait, who am I? Like, okay, I'm a mom now. And it was very challenging when I first became a mom, but like, who am I meant to be? I want to be more than a mom. Like, I want to be more than, you know, signing on for my corporate work, which I was really good at, you know, like I was very successful. I am very successful in that, but I wanted more. And it was still this craving for like, wait, I want to have my own business. Like, what is this about? And so I just kept kind of like treading along. I did my spiritual life coach certification, fell in love. And the reason why I signed up for it was not to become a life coach. No. I signed up so I could actually find my purpose. They promised that if you do the certification, you find your purpose. And I was like, yes, I'm going to become a purpose coach. I'm going to become a spiritual life coach so I can find my purpose. And I kid you not, Emily, in that first like nerve-wracking, was very nerve-wracking because in that first call that we had, we actually went into breakout rooms right away and we had to like coach each other. And trust me, like I was sweating hard. It was like scary AF, but I was like, wait, I kind of like this. And, you know, I finished that certification. I think my son was 2-ish years old, maybe 3 once I finished. So, you know, I was in the midst of it all, like working full time, being the mom, like just figuring it all out. And yet I devoted this time. I remember it was Tuesday and Thursday nights that we had our calls and doing the homework on the weekends. And I just loved it so much. It just felt so much like me. And I feel like this is really what sparked this initiation in me and what kicked off like my spiritual journey. And I remember when I was in your world, I came into your world because one of my mentors forwarded me one of your energy reels, like your energy, what are those called? Remind me.
Energy updates. Yes.
Yeah, the energy update ones. And I was like, wait, like, who is this woman? And then I was like, wait, Akashic Records. That was the second time that I heard that word in my whole entire life. And I mean, pretty much immediately I knew like, okay, I'm going to book a reading with her. But then I feel like something had to happen in my life where I actually, you know, was not forced to book the reading, you know, but there was really like this purpose and this reason. And at that point, I was like heavily, like I was far along in my pregnancy with my daughter, far along. It must have been like, we're talking about like 8 months pregnant probably. And I had the session with you because I just felt I was working with somebody that it was just at the end of our time together. And I feel like she didn't lift me up as I thought of a mentor. You know, like a mentor is meant to like lift you up and like call you out on your BS. But I felt like I felt more like called out, and not in a nice way. Like it was very hurtful. Like it took me days and days to recover from a session with that old mentor, and which really was like a life coach. And I was like, wait, I just need new energy in my field. I need like a new perspective. And I remember like we had our session. I was just like crying. I was like, everything you were like channeling, and it makes me emotional, like as I'm talking about, because you have been that catalyst to my actual like spiritual growth in that most recent reiteration. Because after we had that session, you confirmed, no, girl, like you're meant to be the spiritual business owner. Like you're meant to be doing this for work. And I was like, wait, really? Really? Wait, what? Like, really? I mean, I knew all along, you know, but when you hear the guidance, it just hits so differently. And yeah, I felt so confirmed. Like, I feel like all the doubts I had, they just like lifted off my shoulders. And I just, yeah, I felt like I was able to have my daughter, because also you channeled my daughter, my spirit baby. And it just, yeah, it was just this evolution from then on. But yeah, is there any questions so far that you have? I mean, I can talk and talk and talk on like how that journey continued.
I love this so much. And one thing that's really lighting up for me is this concept of purpose and kind of finding your purpose through whether it's a coaching certification or a program, and like really figuring out what that is. So I guess my question is, as you're going through this journey and you went through that certification and you and I started working together, what did purpose start to mean to you? And perhaps like, what does purpose even mean to you today? How do you view that in your life?
Yeah. You know, I mean, to be like super candid, I don't love these questions, you know? I'm not like, no offense to you, but they're just so big of a question.
Yeah.
And there's like a million answers. And I feel like part of my shadow work that I've done is like, who cares? You don't have to say the most perfect thing. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So what it means to me, and this is why I love you asked, like, what does it mean to me, right? And to me, like purpose means just feeling so lit up by what you do, and actually like having this purpose in quotation mark, like an impact on people. I think that's really what it means to me. Is like, you know, it gives you this, your own satisfaction, your own fulfillment. And then also you get to have that, that impact on others. And I feel like what I always come back to, like, you know, the greatest mission that I have is like raising the frequency of the planet, like raising the vibration of the planet. And I feel like when you do the work, like when you are in your purpose, and even in my corporate job, like I've learned to appreciate the purpose that I have, because you know, we have that in common too, where we started our careers in retail, and I work in the numbers. And even there, like, you know, the greater impact that I have is actually helping women feel confident in the clothes that they purchase from my company, right? Where I work. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, shoot, you're right. Like there is always a greater purpose. Like you always have a greater impact. But now that I'm so specific in my business, working with spirit babies, and I can really see how I change women's lives. And it's just so meaningful. And I feel like that's what I've learned in this period of like finding my purpose and figuring out who I am, that no, there's something like there's a greater mission that I have, and it's meant to be shared with the world. And also it's really fun for me. Like it lights me up so much that when I'm in my element, when I am that spiritual business owner, like it's one of the things that makes me extremely happy, like so happy. You know, I love being with my family, my kids, my husband, of course, but I mean, my sessions, like just, the speaking right now on the podcast, like sharing my voice, doing the work, like it lights me up so much. Like it literally is like very close. I almost don't want to admit it, but it's like very close in like how it lights me up to spending all the family time.
Oh, I love it. Wow. Everything you shared, I just had full body chills. So yes, thank you. So much profound truth and wisdom that you just channeled through you. And I just love too how it's been amazing to witness you, because there's this certain magic that I notice with my clients and also people, relationships in the spiritual space, where when you find your thing, it just clicks. There's like this magic and this sort of like clicking into place of like, really, you receive you kind of receive the awareness of who you're becoming. But then when it starts to become embodied, and when you start to like integrate it into your actual life and you start practicing it, there's this like magic that happens where it like clicks into place and it just starts to flow.
1000%. And that's really what I felt. Like if I just, go back in time, and when my daughter was born, you launched your, or you had one of the Akashic record certifications. And I was like, I'm going to do it with my newborn by my side. And I did it and I loved it. And I also did the light language certification, which just as obsessed with, maybe even more obsessed, different obsession. Let's be real.
Different. Yes.
But I remember I asked you, what is even a starseed? Like, I was so new in my spiritual journey back then. I was like, Emily, like, you talk about starseeds, but like, what the hell is that even? And I feel like ever since I've been in your world, and I've like, it really just felt like this very natural progression of like learning more, becoming more me. Like I'm meant to be, like be that Akashic Records practitioner. Like I'm meant to be the channel, like all of these things. Remember everything I would like that I would channel in the beginning? I'm laughing because I would be like, well, this is coming through, but I don't really think that's true. Like I would doubt literally everything. And just now where I'm at, where I'm like, oh shoot, I went from like helping the corporate woman just feel more confident. This is really, I think, how I started my coaching journey. Like I know I did it that way, and to now like so niche down, so specific. And I remember when you first channeled for me that I am meant to be the spirit baby channel, I was like, I don't think so, girl. Like, I don't even know what a spirit baby is. In my head, in my head. I might have not told you that.
I know. And, it's also so interesting about that. And what I also want the listener to know too is that you are doing a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes on yourself. You were doing the inner work. You were also raising a newborn, and you showed up for yourself every single day, every single week. You created the space for yourself to be open. You practiced your gifts, and to just watch the becoming of that was really amazing. And that information about you channeling spirit babies didn't come through right away. That took months for us to uncover that, to get to that place, and for you to be ready for it. That's the key. And also, it sounds like you weren't necessarily ready for it, but a part of you was. And so needed to come through at that time for a reason. And so what would you say, maybe it was an experience you had or a reading you did or a moment when you started to realize this is real. Like my gifts are real. This is happening. When did it start to kind of fall into place for you?
I feel like probably started falling like into place. I mean, I feel like, in your certification, I was able to channel right away. Like, as soon as you walked us through the process, I feel like for me it happened right away, which I believe it doesn't for everyone. And yet I didn't believe what was coming through. But I think by always on the calls, mentioning what was coming through, et cetera, and then the practice sessions that I feel like we also did breakout rooms in your certification, I believe. And it's in those sessions that I felt more confident, because you get the confirmation right away, right? Like you're channeling, you're doing the reading on somebody else. And so they will tell you, oh yeah, girl, like this just hit differently. Like, this is true. Like, how do you know? I mean, they wouldn't ask me that because they know, but, and then too, part of the requirement to graduate, I believe, was getting a bunch of practice sessions. And I loved that part because it really had me step out of my comfort zone. And I remember I just posted like a close friend story on my Instagram, and a bunch of people were like, yeah, I'm down for a reading. And so I did the readings. And I know I was, what do you call these people who aren't exactly following the instructions? Remember?
What, shadow clients or what?
No. Remember? You were like, yeah, it's probably best for you to not do any remote readings when you start off. And yet I would do these remote recorded readings that you weren't a fan of, which I get, right? It's a lot more challenging to channel when you don't get the information. You really have to trust your channel. But at that point, because I had the newborn, I just had to think differently. Like, I couldn't be on like 1 hour calls at that point all the time. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give me 3 questions and I'm going to channel the answer for you through the Akashic records. And those readings just amped up my confidence so much because I wasn't even in the room with the person. I didn't necessarily know what they were going through. And the feedback I received was just, it was so powerful. And so from then on, I feel like I believed that I could do it. And then also in some of those readings, as well as the, Zoom readings, I had little babies show up. And the babies were giving me guidance. And it would be single client. It would be like a single client, single woman who was in search of her future someone and who eventually knew she wanted to be a mom. But that didn't even come up, right? Like, but yet I would see this baby and I would just tell her, oh my gosh, like your baby's coming through, your future baby's coming through. And she's saying this, and this. And I would just go on, right? And later on, I think you confirmed for me. I feel like that was months and months later that was actually a spirit baby. But yet I had no idea because I didn't even know of that term at that point. But I feel like once you mentioned spirit baby, and I was like, what the hell is that? Oh, I've actually channeled those before. I feel like I slowly opened myself up to that possibility of spirit babies. But I think where the biggest transformation really happened is fully coming out of that spiritual closet. Because for me, that just seemed really out there. I mean,
oh, I know.
Very out there. I mean, the Akashic records itself, it's like, how do you even explain to my family in Germany, like what that is? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even have the words for it. So then to take it up a notch and be like, yeah, I talk to babies that haven't been born yet. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure some people think I'm a little crazy. You know what I mean? But oh well.
Oh well.
I'm having the time of my life.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love this so much. And yeah, coming out of the spiritual closet, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And it's not always easy because it's what I really noticed with my clients is that it's a massive identity shift. You're really stepping out of this old identity, kind of these old perceptions that other people have had of you. And you're stepping into this. It's who you are inside of yourself. So let's be real. Like, this is who you really are. And you're sharing your true self with the world. But still, there's like a little bit of an ego death in a way, or clearing of the false self that kind of comes along for the ride with that journey. So to see you navigating that and supporting you with the fear and so forth, and to see you come out on the other side and be as sparkly and radiant as you are, it's just been such a blessing.
Aw, likewise. I loved our time so much. Yeah, because I feel like it really is true. Like, there was so many pieces that I had to realize about my life that just weren't fully aligned, or where I was giving my power away. And I didn't realize any of that until you called me. Like, you just lovingly told me that, hey, do you really think you should be spending this much time on some friendship drama, that was very meaningful and impacted me a lot. But yet that's all I could think about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I feel like you just helped me like navigate some of that and just caught me back into like, who am I? Like, who do you want to be? Like, who are you meant to be? And to not worry so much about the other people, because all I can influence is just like myself and how I treat others. And sometimes like we do make mistakes and that's okay. You know what I mean? And then also there's times where we make the mistakes and that's okay. And then people in your world will get it because they know you're just a human being and you aren't perfect. You know what I mean? And they have that compassion for you and for what you are going through. And I feel like you just helped me like realize that so much, as well as just really building this foundation in my relationship with my husband. I feel like that was a big piece of the puzzle it was just a big piece of the puzzle, because if I think about my life, right? I'm my own person, then I'm the wife and I have my relationship with my husband. I'm the mom, and then I have my business and my job. And I feel like it all is like a big puzzle, and it needs like everything needs to be somewhat on a certain baseline, like a certain foundation. And I feel like when you help me raise certain aspects of my life, I just naturally was able to work on the other pieces of my life and just make progress and reach higher levels in those other pieces. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like, the better I feel as a person, the better I feel in my relationship with my husband, like the more powerful of a leader I am in life in general.
Oh my gosh, yes. That is so powerful and so important. I'm so glad you said that. Do you have any, because I know you do readings and so forth, and you help so many women navigating this conception journey and navigating the spirit baby journey and at different points of that journey. But before we even get into that, we also have to think about our relationships and our romantic partnership being one of those most important relationships in our life. So do you have any tips or guidance or just anything that you've witnessed or observed in doing readings that you feel like would be helpful for the listener to know about navigating their romantic partnership?
I love it so much. I love this question so much. I would say it always starts with yourself. Like, this is really where you help me, like, just get to another level. Like, and I see that too in my client work. Like, when we change our own energy, when we do our own work, it impacts directly our partner. Because if my vibration is like this high, if I'm so lit up by life, like, come on, everyone around you is going to be impacted. I mean, it's natural, right? Like, our energy influences them and affects them. I would say, like, in terms of tips that are actually that you can implement, I would say what always comes through for women who are on the conception journey, which I know you're not necessarily asking for, but it applies, is just have fun with your husband. Like, just have fun with your partner. Have fun with, whoever those people are. And because I feel like so often we get caught up in the mundane of life, and we get caught up by, there's so much on my plate. Oh my gosh. And it's almost the connection, especially the physical connection. It's almost something that you're not looking forward to, because it's like something on the to-do list or something that just gets added to your plate, especially once you become a mom. And it's like, no, girl, like, let's create some fun. Like, let's make it fun again. Like, go back to honeymoon phase. Like, when you started dating, you were so obsessed with each other. What was different there? And I feel like often it's also the love languages, like reminding yourself of, like, what is the love language of my partner? Like, for my husband, it's physical. He loves physical touch. So how can I just randomly come from the back and just give him the biggest kiss and biggest hug ever? Or how can I just spend like 5 minutes literally just kissing him on the couch? To me, it's like, my love language. I mean, I love that with him, but my love languages are the I'm blanking on the actual word of it, but certainly the quality time.
Yeah.
Quality time, words of affirmation. I launched my own podcast the other day and I texted him like the link to it. I know, I'm so excited. And I texted him the link to it and he told me, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You're so brave. And when he told me that, like that goes way further than any gift could go with me. You know, I love gifts too. That's another one of me that's pretty high up. It's gifts, like random gifts. Like, oh, I was at the grocery store and here are some flowers, right? I think it's like going out of your way and making your partner feel loved in whatever way that might be. My husband the other day surprised me like, chef's kiss. Like those are the moments where I'm just like, I love you so much. And I'm so obsessed with you. I texted him, hey babe, if you stop at the coffee shop, get me a matcha too. He's like, babe, I already had it for you before you even texted me. I was like, I love you so much. I know. And I told him, don't get me the large though. Like get me the medium or whatever. He's like, I got you the large. I'm like, okay, fine. Like love it. But I think it's those moments where how can we be playful? Like, how can we just be fun and like remind ourselves, like, what did I used to do when we started dating? And it was those moments where I went out of my way to just make them feel extra loved.
Oh my gosh. So much wisdom was just packed into that answer. Yes. And it's so true. I mean, like, I needed to hear a lot of that just in life in general. It doesn't have to be so serious, you know? We're here to play. We're here to laugh. We're here to explore. We're here to have fun. And we can bring that energy and that vibe into all corners of our life, business included, relationships included. Yes. So that's so important. And just because I feel guided to ask this question, because I feel like a lot of my big portion of my listener base are women, of course, and a lot of them are in committed partnerships. And it's not, our committed partners are not always on the spiritual journey with us, not necessarily. So do you have any advice or guidance for navigating your spiritual journey with him or how that's unfolded for the two of you?
Yeah. It's been a journey. Let's put it that way. I was thinking to say challenge, but I was like, no, I'm not going to say challenge. It's been a journey. When I was about to do my life coach certification, I asked him, hey babe, like, are you supportive of me doing that? He's like, no. And I was like, wait, what? And where he was coming from is that you had already done the health coach certification that you didn't finish. So like, why would you spend a good amount of money to do this now, right? And so that was something that I had to work through because that was just his own opinion, his own fear of like, hey, don't spend the money on that because you don't know what's going to come of it. But the way I approach it is, no, I know this is going to make me happy. And even if it doesn't, like I gave it a try and it's going to be a lot more important for me to give it a try and it not working out than always regretting it, right? So I feel like just, it's so silly, but I think like doing my own work and just understanding myself and really, because when he said that he wouldn't support me with that or that he didn't think it was a good idea, like that hurt. Like me crying, like that hurt. But it didn't hurt because he said no, it hurt that I didn't have the support maybe early in my life, right? As a child, or I didn't really feel, I mean, it sounds so cliche and simple, but maybe I didn't feel the support and love from my parents, right? At some point. And that's what my inner child like remembered. Like there was this wound already. And when he just told me like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I was like, no. But anyways, that's the work that we worked through, right? That's the work that I had to like just feel so strong in like who I am and like what I'm here to do. And part of it, honestly, I mean, it sounds harsh, but what I've really learned to embrace too is like, I'm just going to do my thing. And like my husband doesn't have to agree or be on board with everything. But over time, I think what has happened, like I don't tell him every little thing that I do. I don't. Like I don't think I even told him that I'm doing the Akashic certification with you. Like I told him like, yeah, I'm doing this thing, you know, that I have to be on calls with. But I don't tell him every little detail because I know that he might not fully understand it. Similarly, I don't tell my parents everything that I do because I know they won't fully understand it. And I think part of what I used to try and where I got burned is, or just more like disappointed, is like I would try to like coach him or like tell him like how he should go about navigating like his health stuff, and just, like a big piece, I believe, is mindset and just some healing. And but then I realized I'm meant to be his wife. And even he told me, Carla, can you be my coach? I'm like, no, I don't want to be your coach. I just want to be the wife. And so I have to really separate that. And instead, what I started embracing is just being the example and just inspiring. And almost every night that I go to bed, I do some sort of an energy clearing. Either it's just in my head or it's I'm listening to something. It's like a mini meditation. And I know that when I listen to it, guess what? He listens to it too. And I remember we're going on a road trip to San Diego, and he was like, what do you want to listen to? And because I was like, I feel like how do I explain this? Like, I feel like I always put his needs before mine, right? Like that was something that I had to work through. Like what I'm kind of like earlier I talked about, like setting the foundation of my relationship. Like part of that was like really putting myself first in the relationship too. And I was like, actually, I'm going to be driving for 6 hours by myself while you're sleeping with the kids. Put my manifestation book on, like it's an Abraham Hicks book. And as that book was going on, and I love that type of stuff, I realized that he was actually awake and not fully sleeping. And then it started talking about chronic health and like things that maybe you could be changing to change your frequency, your vibration, and to just feel better and maybe not attract some of the health problems, illnesses. And in my head, I was literally freaking out because I thought he would get upset at me for like listening to this and how stupid it is and how it doesn't make sense. And then I kid you not, we get to our destination, to our little pit stop, and he's like, there were some good points in that book. So I think for me, it's really like being the example and then just letting him in on the things that I really love, because at the end of the day, he wants to make me happy. It's also things like what I like. I mean, I tried. We didn't end up doing it, but I'm like, babe, can you go to the Abraham Hicks event with me in San Francisco? So I'm also trying to do things which I know he would enjoy. He just doesn't do them himself by choice, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Or even like things like watching like a Tony Robbins documentary. Like I know he enjoys that stuff. He doesn't choose to do that by himself. So I just like taking him along. Like, yeah.
I love that. Bring them along for the journey with you 100% instead of trying to lead or coach or I love that so much. And also taps into that lightness and that play energy that we were talking about earlier too.
I'm on a journey this year to master my health and feel my absolute best while having consistent high energy levels. And so I decided to get some labs to test to see how my hormones were looking, as well as to check for any imbalances within my body. And so I decided to get lab work done through an incredible company called Joy Wellness. That's spelled JOI Wellness. And you can get your lab work done through this amazing company while also getting a unique supplement regimen just for you to support your health. They also provide a variety of different wellness options and health coaching for helping you get your energy levels back and feel your best. So if you want to do high vibrational lab work like I did, you can use code Emily the Mystic at checkout to get your labs at a discounted rate.
And I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Spirit Baby work and how that's been unfolding for you. So what have you learned so far about connecting with the Spirit Baby realm? What does that look like? What does it feel like? Like whatever you feel called to share.
Yeah. It's just what I'm meant to be doing. Like I just feel it so deep in my heart. Like you were mentioning it earlier, like when you find your thing, it just feels easy and it just naturally flows. And that's really how it feels like. Because before I started doing the Spirit Baby, focusing really on my business on Spirit Babies, I had clients here and there. But now it's like my DMs are full. Like, I'm like, wait, I don't have time to get back to people. Like, it sounds silly, but I'm like, wait, I actually need to make time. Like, this sounds silly AF, but I actually need to sit down and respond to DMs, which I've never had to do. You know what I mean? And I just know that it's like what I'm meant to be doing. So Spirit Baby, I love it. So Spirit Babies, they're out there. Everyone has a Spirit Baby. They're little souls out in the cosmos. They're like floating around that are meant to eventually come through. Some might just be hanging out in the cosmos, and a Spirit Baby is essentially a guide for you. So if you are on your conception journey, you can connect with your Spirit Baby and understand what they need from you because they've already chosen you. That's the big thing. They've already chosen you. So if they've already chosen you, you can connect with them and understand, what do you need before I come through? Because in order for the Spirit Baby to come through, a contract between mom and baby needs to be signed. And so just like any other contract, it lists out like all the requirements, like everything that it entails. And so the contract will only be signed once everything is fulfilled and you're ready to sign it. And so that's where often there's blocks or resistances and baby doesn't come through because they're still looking for something. They're still needing something from mom. And so this is where it's so powerful. But it doesn't just apply to conception or to wanting to become a mom. It's also if you're single. Like I mentioned earlier, you can use your Spirit Baby as a guide because they will tell you what you need to do in order to attract your partner. And they will also kind of help you orchestrate it. It's fascinating. But yeah, I've just loved working with my Spirit Baby. It's been really special. And it feels really good when I connect with my Spirit Baby. And also I'm working on bringing her actually earthside. And also I love when somebody else channels my Spirit Baby, just like how you have done it, Emily, because then the guidance is just so unbiased. It's like crystal clear and it's just potent. Like it feels good when I do it, for myself. But when somebody else does it, it just feels so much better.
As soon as you started talking, my right ear started ringing so loudly. So like extra emphasis that the Spirit Babies are in the room with us and are in the room with you, my dear listeners, who listen to this episode, wanting to bridge that gap and make that connection with you. And so again, can you say that again for everyone? Everyone has a Spirit Baby, right? Even if you are maybe you've had kids and you're not wanting any more kids, or like and also too, maybe someone who's listening who's male, what I'm trying to say is just reaffirm, yes, that everyone has a Spirit Baby.
Yeah, everyone has a Spirit Baby. I mostly focus my work on helping work with women, but you will hear that even men, like I chatted with a guy a couple weeks ago, and his wife was pregnant, and he was telling me they didn't know the gender, but he was telling me that he knows the baby's a boy because he was having these really vivid dreams of a little baby boy. And so in that sense, I told him, dude, that's your Spirit Baby coming through. He was having these Spirit Baby dreams, which often that's how they show up. They can show up in dreams. You can connect with them in meditation. You can have somebody channel them for you. Like I just kind of like chat with them. But yeah, everyone has their Spirit Baby. And even if you're already past that age of wanting to have children, or maybe you don't even want to have children, right? I think that's a popular one. You still have a Spirit Baby that's meant to be your guide and that's meant to just help you like become more of who you are truly meant to be.
Yes. And I also find too, they come in with such a playful, fun, joyful energy that I think reconnects us with what you were saying before, who we really are and our authentic self. And I find that it's so fascinating and it's so delightful too.
Yeah, some of them are a little bit spicy too.
I love that.
I feel like sometimes when I ask, like, wait, are you really a girl? Because as you know, we usually don't want to share the gender of time and gender, and the Akashic records are very fluid and unpredictable. But when I do the readings, I usually share the gender that's coming through. And I always say, like, take it with a grain of salt. And sometimes the gender is just so clear. And then I ask, like, wait, are you really a girl? And she's like, yes, I've told you many times now. Like, when are you going to get it? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like funny, like a little bit spicy. And yeah, it is very playful. And I feel like some of the guidance, some of it is like very basic in the sense that it's things that you kind of know as you're like going through life, but then you forget about it when you get too caught up, meaning like, yeah, just have fun with your husband, right? I mean, like when you start dating your partner, like, you know that, and then you kind of forget about it. Or, girl, you need more balance. I remember like the first time that I connected with my spirit baby, that's what she was saying. You need more balance in your life. And I was like, huh, you got a point. Like it's hard. I hardly go just out and about without being on a mission. You know what I mean? And so I've made that more of a point to almost like, yeah, just go to the park, be on the blanket and just like have a picnic or something, you know, like just really be versus always like thinking and scheduling and, you know, just being my masculine essentially.
Mm-hmm. And how about for someone listening who maybe they're not sure if they want kids, or maybe they want kids, but they're not ready for them yet? Is there any harm or, you know, anything weird about connecting with Spirit Baby? What guidance would you give for someone in that position?
I love that question so much because it's actually it's very special because I've learned that some women come to my world who actually don't want to be a mom. And then they see how I'm the mom and I absolutely love it, and how I'm not just the mom, you know what I mean? And then they're like, wait, I'm kind of curious about connecting with my spirit baby. And then often what happens is that there's actually something in their subconscious where they potentially don't see themselves as a mom because something happened when they were growing up, or, you know, maybe their early 20s, like something went down where they can't see themselves as a mom. And so it's so powerful when you hear that little voice. I'm like, no, you're absolutely meant to be a mom. And then the second part to that question is, if you know you want to be a mom, but you just aren't ready yet, it's so beautiful to one, really connect with them and build that relationship, because it is scary for them to come and make that transition earthside. It is scary for them. So it helps to just foster that relationship. And also it really benefits you because you're understanding and learning what are those changes that need to happen? Like, what does baby need before they come through? Maybe they need, I don't know, more savings in your emergency savings account, right? Or maybe they need you to move out of the city and be in a bigger space. Or maybe it is the relationship with your partner that needs a little bit more love, you know? They will tell you exactly what it is. And it's just so beautiful because it's unlike any other guidance, because like you mentioned, it's this really sweet feeling. It's this really sweet connection. This really, I don't know, it just feels like a warm hug together with some like magic dust infused. It feels special, really special.
And how about for someone who is navigating the conception journey? What guidance would you give them, or what have you learned from the spirit baby realm about navigating fertility?
Yeah. It's such a huge question, and there's so much trauma in that, you know, trying to conceive world in a way where a lot of women have a really hard time, and it's really hard for them. And so energetically, they're already in this space where they aren't loving life because all they want is for their baby to come through, and then it's not happening, right? So then you go into the spiral of, what is wrong with me? What is going on physically? What the hell? I'm tracking everything. I'm doing everything to a T, but yet it's not happening. When sometimes what they actually need is to connect with spirit baby and then find out what it actually is that needs shifting. And it could also be something past life related, right? It could be something that you have no idea is actually in your field that keeps you from your baby, because you are doing everything right. You are tracking everything. But the guidance that often comes through is like, okay, we need you to be obsessed with life. Like, find a way to start loving life, as well as let's work on really processing and releasing that grief, because some women, they have dealt with loss and it has been really hard for them. So letting go of that and really removing it from the energetic field so that they're just clear and that there's no resistance between baby and them, because that's what I see often, that there's almost like this cloudiness hovering over them. And that could be because, often manifests, to be honest, as something with the self-love, meaning they don't have that obsession for themselves. They don't have that acceptance of themselves. And that's often like a deeper root that could be something from mom. It could be body issue related. And so often the spirit baby is really calling them into a higher version of themselves, into this initiation of, no, girl, like, you are perfect the way you are. We just need to get, do a little bit of work so that baby can come through and you'll be a lot happier. Life will be a lot easier for you. You will feel way more confident. And your baby is ready to join you. It just needs those couple things ticking tight.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful guidance. So powerful. And then I also love, too, your perspective on motherhood as well. And one of the things that I found so powerful that you reflected to me when we were talking about your own motherhood journey is how much joy you find in it. And like really breaking those old paradigms around motherhood where it has to be a struggle and has to be hard and all of these like limiting beliefs that moms often have. I love your perspective on it. So is there anything that you feel called to share on that topic too?
Yeah, I literally love being a mom. And when I first became a mom, it was really hard. Like, I shared how I didn't have the energy for anything. Like, going to the park just felt like a drag. Like, literally, I was like, I kind of don't want to go, but okay, I'll go. And then baby goes to sleep. And don't get me wrong, I loved him with all my heart. He made me so happy, but yet I had these thoughts. And now it's like, let's go to the park. Let's walk over there. Let's do our thing. I love it so much. And I think what I've come to learn is that it doesn't have to be hard. And it's so much easier when you've already gone through this journey of just knowing who you are, because there are times that I'm exhausted and there's times that I don't want to go to the park. Like, I've not moved my body today. I've not done anything for myself. It's usually always about myself. Remember how I said that earlier in the episode? Yes. It's usually always about myself. So it's where, and this is where I try to find ways to fill my cup as well as my children's cup, right? So instead of maybe going to the park, I'd be like, no, let's take your scooter, let's take your bike, and I'm going to walk with your baby sister, and you can ride your bike, and like, we all have a great time. And I feel like it's those like micro shifts that I just incorporate in my schedule or the way that I parent. I had another thought as I was talking. I was like, I'm looking at my cards too, my oracle cards. Like, I love playing with my oracle cards and include my kids in it. Meaning like, hey, let's all pick a card and see what the guidance is, right? It's like silly little things like that where I still incorporate the things that make me happy while also being the mom. And I think what I see is that a lot of moms, they just worry too much. They They worry about what might other people think when baby cries in the grocery store, or they worry about putting the kid in front of the TV. And I'm like, no, like sometimes I need to do that so that I can actually have an hour or two to work on my business. And my child loves it. Or we do it with my son, he's 5, on the weekends. I remember when I was growing up, I was always allowed to watch TV on the weekend mornings. And it was just part of my childhood and part of growing up. And I loved it so much that, wait, I'm going to put the TV on him from like, I don't know, 6 a.m. to whenever he wakes up, maybe 6:30. He can watch some TV. Then his baby sister gets up at 7 and we all get like an hour of like me time. He gets to have fun, watch whatever he wants to watch. Husband and I, we get to sleep in a little bit, which is, bonus points. And everyone just wins. So I feel like it's, I try to just be open-minded. And I also know that I'm not perfect. Like I always have a meal in the freezer that I can just like throw together. I don't put any pressure on always having the perfect meal because I literally can't do it all. Like I cannot. I do so much. And people ask me like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I don't. I literally don't.
I love that answer.
Like I don't, And
yeah.
I think we just put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to be the perfect mom, to always have, gifts and to be like, to have a present for the teacher. And I'm like, how do you do it all? You know what I mean? Like, it's just silly stuff like that where I feel like you just add more to your plate than necessary. And often for me, it's just like simplifying. And I think one thing where you've really taught me in our work together is like to just be present. And that goes the furthest. But yeah, all in all, I just love being a mom. And I want to add too that I feel like I am so proud of my business. And so like, I'm just so passionate about it too, because I want to show them like what work can look like. I feel like that's part of it. I want to just show them that you don't have to have the corporate job. If you want to do the corporate job, go ahead and do it, right? But you can literally choose whatever you want to do in your life. And I feel like I want to model that to them. And I want to just model that even like stuff goes down at my son's school. And I always tell him, like, I always bring him back to, you're your own little human being. You're your own boss. His affirmation is like, who's your boss? And then he says his name and he's like, I'm my own boss,
Oh.
And I feel like part of like being the mom is like just teaching them like how to go about life, and I feel like it just starts with me. And then I tell him like, hey, yeah, like you're the coolest kid ever, you're the coolest kid ever. But I also think that about myself, right? Like I'm the coolest mom ever. There's a really fun example that I feel called to share is where I put my favorite thing on that I'm actually wearing right now, which is this like cheetah suit thing, like matching set. And I put it on and I walked, kids were having breakfast and I walk out. My son goes like, Mommy, what are you wearing? That's not cool. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like literally the coolest thing out of my closet. What are you talking about? He's like, I don't think it's cool. I'm like, sorry, son. Like, I love you a lot, but I'm still going to wear it because I literally think it's the coolest thing. And so then we go out and we walk to school. We live right by the school. It's like a 2-minute walk, which is ideal. And one guy says, oh my gosh, I love this. Great outfit. Somebody honks from the car and just be like, oh my God. And then another mom tells me, you look fabulous. And part of being the mom for my kids is really like ingraining it in them that you can do whatever the heck you want to be doing and it's going to work out. And so I told my son, imagine I wouldn't have worn this outfit. Imagine I wouldn't have worn this outfit. Not only would I have just felt sad because I let somebody else influence me, right? I used other words when I talked to him, but that's the gist of it. And also, I brought these other people joy by just like looking at this outfit and maybe influencing them to just have a little bit more fun and to just be a little bit playful, And I think that has been like a big part of my transformation. It's just not giving any Fs anymore.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Mic drop.
Yes. Boom. I want to add one more thing because I feel like when you become a mom, there's so much that comments that you get. Like there's so much that, your in-laws might comment on or your parents on like how you parent. And I always get the comments with, I don't know, like back then, when I was doing the certification with my newborn daughter, she would sleep a lot on me because one, I loved it. And two, I feel like that's what she needed. But also I made my life a lot easier, right? Because I didn't have to step away and like put her in her little bassinet. No, she was just sleeping on me. And the comments I got all the time is like essentially saying that I'm not doing it right. I should be doing it differently. Like you got to put her down. But I feel like part of being the mom and being so in your power is like, no, I do whatever works for me, period. And yes, I'm open to advice and I'm open to suggestions. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to feel bad about what I do. And I just do what I want to do, period. And that has made my life so much easier and has just added so much freedom to my life, I feel like. And it's just left like brain power and space for other things.
Unapologetically you.
Yes.
I freaking love it.
Yes.
I'm obsessed.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that transmission of that energy frequency in this episode today, because I'm receiving it. I know the listener can feel it. And Carla, I feel like I could just ask you questions all day because you're just a wealth of wisdom. And oh my gosh, so I've learned so many things from this episode. So thank you.
Aw.
And as I start to wrap this up here today, Carla, where can people find you and how can people work with you right now?
Yeah. You can find me on my Instagram. This is, I feel like, where I'm most present and where I just have fun showing up on my stories and share bits and pieces of my life and like mom life and everything else. And that's where you find everything in my links in my bio. But certainly you can book a session with me, Spirit Baby Healing Session, or I do these really, really fun mini Spirit Baby messages where you sent me 3 questions that you have for your Spirit Baby and I send you back a recording, and I just love those so much. So I feel like those are my 2 go-to offers that I send people to. And yeah, but just come into my world and yeah, you'll get a feel for me.
I love it. Yes, yes, yes. It's magical. And of course, we have to end the episode today, Carla, by talking about what does being a mystic mean to you? So the magical question, which is, Carla, what does being a mystic mean to you?
I told Emily before we started recording that I purposefully didn't prepare for this question. And I didn't want to be influenced because I just wanted to straight up channel what it means. And I think it just means to me, like being so curious and being so open to just what lights you up and to just truly be following your heart and not worrying about what anyone else might think, even if it is more spiritual and even if it's more out there. Like if your heart, like if you feel that nudge, that pull, just go explore it and see if it's for you and just have fun with it.
I love that. Yes, so true. And any final tips for us for living a more mystical life?
Now, I've really embraced this no F's given motto where, yeah, I don't even know if I can say bad words on your podcast or not.
Oh yeah, say whatever you want to say.
Okay. Yeah. I have a couple Post-its on my wall that I sit by, and like a lot of them literally say, fuck it. No fucks given. Like, just do it. And I think that's part of it. Like, don't care about what anyone else might think. Just do your thing. And you will feel this bravery within you, as well as this just proudness of really trusting yourself and just going after what lights you up. And it will just come back to you like in million folds. Is that the word? I don't know, but that's what was coming through. Like it will just come back to you, and you will feel it and just so much abundance and joy and happiness. And yeah, I feel like often when you follow those breadcrumbs, it will lead you to something. And that's my guidance.
Something really amazing. Thank you, Carla. Fantastic. such a joy to have you on the show. And everyone go check out her Spirit Baby offerings. I can't wait to hear how they go for you. I might have to book one myself. Yes! I'm so intrigued. Yay.
I would love it. I would love it. Thank you so much for having me, Emily. You know, I love you. I'm obsessed with you. And it was so good to reconnect with you.
Ooh, magical. The portal is now closed.
The portal is now closed. Thank you so much for listening. I invite you to join our community of mystics and spiritual seekers in my Emily the Mystic membership for more content, support, and fun just like this episode. You can check that out on my website, emilythemystic.com/membership. Don't forget to send this podcast episode to a friend who needs to hear it, rate the show wherever you listen to your podcasts, and follow along on my Instagram and YouTube at Emily the Mystic. Don't worry, the portal will open again soon. See you then.